Murmuring.
My leg.
3, 2.
Welcome back.
Hello.
This is Briefly
Briefly Speaking.
And today we are going to be talking about kind of the do's and don'ts.
The do's
of
and don'ts.
Teamwork and collaboration, basically.
So to start off, teamwork and collaboration is the groundwork, I think, for a good campaign.
Yes. And when it comes to that, communication is key.
Absolutely.
And just the start of like anything that you're working on.
The start of something new. I think it's clear to see also like in campaigns if there was a coherent group.
Yes,
I think,
for sure.
Because campaigns have so many moving parts. If the team itself wasn't synced up, I think it's pretty easy to tell because a lot of the campaign's components end up also being not synced up and can sometimes feel like a bit of a jumble of this and this and this that are like amazing on their own but might not flow as seamlessly together.
Yeah.
I think advertising is expressive. I think it's an art form and it might not be self-expressive, but an individual artist that is making a piece of media puts a bit of themselves into it.
For sure.
And so a group that is working on a campaign is going to put themselves, each of themselves, into it. It's important for a foundation of teamwork to be kind of the cornerstone that is being put into this campaign.
And when it comes to being in a team, you really have to figure out what people's strengths and weaknesses are. If you're not communicating enough, everything gets lost.
And communicating strongly as well. I think it's also like really easy for a group member that is maybe a little bit more naturally assertive to sometimes overpower and overshadow and maybe communicate almost in a sense harshly. At least it can maybe like come across that way.
Yeah.
And so I think having communication but being tactful about how you're communicating is...
I think it's so hard over text too, because you never know how someone's gonna take something.
No, exactly.
I think I'm unfortunately very dry over text, so it may come off as very aggressive, but it's because whenever I text, I think, oh, they're just gonna read it how I would say it, but that's not how it works.
And I think everybody falls into that.
That's why in person is so beneficial to groups, because then you don't have to worry about kind of that how things come across when you're sitting face to face with someone.
Hopping on even a call, I found that that's been really helpful in terms of communicating because you do get at least a little bit of that tone coming across. Which I get, like a lot of people kind of push back on short meetings with the whole could have been an email thing. And sometimes it could have been, but I think sometimes it is important to communicate yourself fully.
Yeah, because you kind of catch the vibe easier over a call or in person, which is very helpful.
So I guess like when we talk about a good team or a bad team, there's of course the team itself, and then there's also individual members. So I guess like what, in your opinion, what kind of makes a good team?
Everyone has to be very open. I think as soon as someone tries to, I don't want to say harsh the vibe, but as soon as someone goes no but rather than yes and, it can really change the vibe of whatever the brainstorming was that was going on or just the team in general.
It ends up being such a stifle a little bit. The no but.
But I think sometimes you need the no but if it's just the beginning of a project, you have to get out all the ideas that are possible before you can start going, actually, no, we shouldn't do that.
No, for sure. I think there's definitely phases to it. In one of our classes, we called it divergent thinking, where in the beginning, you're kind of setting those branches and you're branching out and you're like, we could do this and we can do this and what about this? And
kind of all possibilities are covered.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no no's allowed.
Yeah,
the
no
only
limits to it.
Is no to no. And you're just doing everything you can to think of anything to the moon and back.
Yes.
And then of course later on comes the convergent thinking, where as a group you have to, I think, a little bit put your pride aside.
Yeah.
And say maybe this isn't going to work out for this and narrow down. I think this is also a good time for idea tweaks. You can say, oh, I kind of like where that's going, but maybe we don't do that, and we can
building
switch.
upon things.
Exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
As a team, for in terms of structure, non-negotiables is also a massive part of this.
Yes, part of that same class was writing down a list of...
we had to write contracts and sign them, and they would essentially say, like, they would essentially have like late policies, like if you're a little bit late coming to a meeting, something, then after certain times we'd have to have a talk about it. If there were missed deadlines, there were like, quote, punishments even sometimes we had. That were lighthearted, but it still gave the group a foundation under which they could operate and something to refer back to. So if I have a problem with someone showing up late, then it's not coming from me, it's coming from a document that we had all agreed upon.
It definitely gives common ground that you can all agree upon.
That common ground's so interesting because as you're building that contract, you are working as a team to do so, and so that's kind of the first glimpse
into what the rest of the project is going to be.
A building block like that is really important.
Something else that we did a lot in that sort of contract making, whenever you try and start a meeting, you want to start it off with an icebreaker just to get the energy in the room right. I think when you're starting off on any sort of brainstorming session or ideation session, you need to warm up a little bit.
Absolutely.
So icebreakers, any sort of activity that you can do beforehand kind of just gets your mind working.
It gets your mind working, and it also gets your mind working unilaterally with the people around you. Which is an easy way to get into the brainstorming process then, because you kind of are already thinking together. Any team that I was in, we would always play this little mobile game called Space Team. Each person had a command and a set of buttons. So you'd have to call out your command and hope that whoever had your button that needed to be pressed or meter needed to get turned to 5, they would have to do it.
Actually terrifying.
You had to make sure you were competitive. But
I am unfortunately a very competitive person, so I feel like I'd do really bad at that.
It was like mini Overcooked a little bit.
Oh, I love Overcooked. Maybe for me, a game like that would not be as beneficial because I am so competitive. It would more stress me out than anything. When it comes to different activities, even just chatting with someone beforehand.
Like, absolutely.
You're just kind of going about what you did in the day and like getting updated with each other. That also breaks the ice. And it's not like an activity or game. But it just kind of gets you settled into whatever you're about to do.
Yeah, it's not like a structured thing. It still helps you level with the other person.
I think going straight into ideation is very difficult when you're not in the right mindset.
A little bit of foreplay is important.
Exactly.
So we talked a little bit about what it means to be a good team as a whole. Of course, every team is made up of individuals. Each person, of course, has to play their own part.
As we said at the beginning of this, communication is the most important thing. So as an individual, you have to kind of let people know what you're working on and where your headspace is at in the moment, because if not, they're just going to be wondering what's going on. If there is a member that is trying to be that pushing force of like getting updates from everyone, if you're seeing they're putting in that effort, you kind of have to at least match it and just respond. Just give any sort of notification that you've read it, and even if it's a very basic like, hey, just saw this, working on something right now, we'll get it to you in a day or something. It's just a needed thing where you can't just leave your teammates in the dark.
I think flexibility is also a huge characteristic that someone needs to have, and so people that are finding themselves MIA really need to have a flexibility to their character to switch up and kind of do what they have to do for the group.
For sure.
And so, not calling into question their productivity necessarily, but they do need to be able to adapt and communicate in a way that doesn't leave their group in the dark.
It's very important to kind of see where the gaps are that you're facing and realize like, oh, maybe I have to step up here or even step down here. It's a lot of being adaptable and kind of seeing where the group needs you to be.
Exactly, like self-criticizing a little bit and saying, I'm making holes here and here and here, and figuring out what you need to change to fill in those holes.
And to benefit the group.
Exactly.
Because in the end, I don't want to say it's all of you succeed or none of you succeed, but it's kind of like that because you're working on one campaign. So if only one part of it is very strong, then it's not going to be as powerful as it could be.
Exactly, the imbalance that was happening in the group will present itself. It's a bit of a life skill in general, but I think empathy is also massive. And so being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and go, this is like how they're feeling, helps you identify holes a lot easier.
I find that I'm very much a perfectionist, so because I need that visualization to see that something is actually happening, and if I'm not getting any like haptic feedback back, then I'm just lost in the dark, and then I start spiraling. It's a lot of like trying to balance that with making sure I'm not crowding anyone. It's rough.
I think for me, something that I've struggled with, like as it pertains to groups, is paralysis by analysis. Something my uncle loves to say to me, where I'll spend so much time thinking about how I want something to turn out, or a lot of time in my head without putting pen to paper. And so a hole that I often find forming is I've done a lot of concept work in my head, but none of it is on paper, and so I find that I'm like, I got it, don't worry, but there's nothing there to show for it yet, and so that's something that I've had to adjust in general in groups.
I think we're very opposites in that effect, but I think we both also know that it'll get done when it gets done. I think we have a lot of trust in each other since we've worked with each other a lot now, that we're just like, whatever happens, it'll be sick as hell.
I think another exercise almost for individuals is to make sure they're keeping their pride on the side, especially in groups.
For sure.
I guess just keeping in mind that you are a part of a whole.
100%.
And you absolutely want to make sure that you're being communicative and putting work forward and putting your best foot forward. I think it's also important to see where other group members are maybe falling, and just providing them encouragement. And making sure that they also know that they're part of the whole. And that they're not getting washed out.
At the end of the day, you're hopefully just working with your friends, and you have to kind of make sure they're all right before the project is all right, in my mind.
Like, in relationships in general, I guess, like there is a sway. And so like an ideal relationship is of course split 5-5, 50-50. But there are going to be times where someone's not doing so hot and the ratio kind of drops, and you need to kind of be there to support. And maybe it ends up being a 7-3 ratio. As time goes, it's going to change. And I think like the same is absolutely true in a productive group, where for a time someone might be giving 7, but I think there also needs to be a trust that in a reverse scenario, somebody else is also giving 7 that may have been giving a 3 at one point. Which is nothing to say about someone like not always giving 100%.
I don't think
giving 100% isn't a flat rate either.
In groups, I never think it's equal, the energy that gets put into it. I think any project, everything is gonna change. Like energy is gonna dip.
Absolutely.
Or energy is gonna be at an all-time high. It just depends on kind of what the vibes of the project are. And even if it's the same team, it could just be whatever brand you're working on is not working. And it's just about finding that sort of balance and how everything sort of levels out when you do have those differing energy levels and kind of mental capacities at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big issues come out of someone consistently giving a 3 or consistently not giving it their all. I think that's when group conflict also starts to happen, where people will understandably get cheesed and then tensions rise, no one wants to work with anybody at that point.
I think once you start to see a pattern, it's when it starts to get like, oh, I thought maybe we could get over this, but actually I think it's pretty consistent.
Exactly.
Which is unfortunate.
And is again why I think constructing that kind of group contract is so important, because you have this cornerstone of commitment that you have to refer back to and say,
you're not
this is a consistent breach of contract.
Breach of contract. This is illegal. It's never personal. In a group, it's never personal. And if someone is taking it personal, then it's not at the fault of you. It's at the fault of like, maybe you didn't have that contract written out and it just feels like you're getting personally attacked. But in reality, it's a lot about trying to find what's working, and if something is not working, then it's not a personal attack on that person. It's literally just being like, hey, can we find a different way to work this out?
Yeah.
That's not conflicting with everything.
Mm-hmm. In advertising too, like we're told to have strong opinions and like make sure your opinion is put forward. And so I think that also becomes difficult when everybody's vying for their own opinion.
Yeah.
That's also, I think, like when discourse starts to happen. And so again, kind of putting pride to the side a little bit and finding an idea that can be shared is...
It's not your idea, it's our idea.
Shout out communism. But I think at the end of the day, the golden rule is, again, just a good benchmark for how to act in a group.
Yeah.
Treat people the way that you would want to be treated.
Yes, always.
And so like no one wants to get left in the dark, so don't leave people in the dark. And no one wants to feel attacked, so do your best to make sure that you aren't
attacking anyone.
Yeah, coming across as though you're attacking anybody. And in that sense, it's all a two-way street.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I think that's a good little discussion on teamwork, being a good team member, do's and don'ts.
Breach of contract.
Breach of contract. Communism. But that's also just our opinion on it. I feel like even in groups, it can really differ how people work together. I feel like us as people are just very open to trying to be the best we can in a group, even if it's like not meshing with other people, but it could be entirely different for another group.
That's the thing. And I guess just in general, keeping in mind that we're all humans and we're all fallible and we're all very different.
Yeah.
And so staying open-minded in that way.
I think it's also okay if you don't work well with someone.
That's the thing.
Yeah, because you're never gonna align 100% with anybody, and especially creatively, sometimes people just don't work very well together, even though you can both be super talented. It's just the way that you guys work doesn't really align with the other person, and that's perfectly fine.
That's totally fine. And there are totally ways to remain productive, even if there's personality clash. Or even if there would be personality clash.
It's always a way forward.
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
Called teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work, guys. Okay.
Yes?
Hello, puppy. You're good,
No worries,
you're good.
no worries. We're on pause right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit you with 2 more ads of the week. To start off, I don't think it's necessarily a recent campaign, but I only just saw it recently, so that's what I'm gonna talk about. I took the TTC for the first time in a while, and I saw they had done their own advertising on empty ad spaces. And so headlines like, where lake views are a sure thing, visit the beach via Woodbine Station. Where the toughest call is baguette, brioche, or both, visit the St. Lawrence Market. I just think they're super cute. I think they build on the culture in Toronto also, and I like that they're not super in your face. I think subtlety is an art that's been maybe a little bit lost and is on the come up, and so I love how simple they are. They're just a cute little read on your commute.
They're very nice. I do feel like some of them are a little inaccurate, but I think that's probably just because they wanted a bunch of them.
That's the thing.
For each station.
Quantity over quality on some of them, definitely. But I think there were some really good ones also in there.
There's some really cute ones in there, and I do like the very simplistic aesthetic of like using whatever the station is that they're talking about as the sort of background for the image. Very cute, very cute.
And I think is also a great use strategically of some empty ad space. That they can use for themselves.
And then for mine, it is for the brand Nectar. It's a canned cocktail brand, and what they did is a campaign that features a different spin on Asian glow, which if you don't know what Asian glow is, it's a lot of Asians can't really process alcohol, so they get very, very red. And what this campaign did is basically take that and use it as this cute little blush that people get as like Asian glow up is what they called the campaign. And it's like drinking these cocktails is gonna give you this like cute
Asian
little aesthetic, of
That's
having
so
like flushed cheeks, and they just did a very cute spin on it. And I think they also did it for the month of May is AAPI Heritage Month. So
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think it is very adorable the stuff that
That
they
is
did
really
for
cute,
it.
yeah. Well, this has been Briefly Speaking, where we spoke briefly. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Adorable.